Hello there, one and all, I'm Father Dugan 9000, and welcome to yet another episode of Games That Time Forgot, a series of videos where we take a look at concepts, betas, cancelled video games, ideas left behind, and all manner of secrets discovered from the interesting world that is video gaming development. Quite recently, Telltale Games released the first episode of their latest point-and-click adventure series, The Wolf Among Us, and because I've been trying to get into adventure games a lot more as of late, I downloaded the trial to episode 1, as well as the demo for their first big project, Sam and Max Save the World, out of a simple curiosity. Spending the next hour and a half on both demos, I found them to be quite well made and enjoyable to play, particularly The Wolf Among Us. Since then, I've taken a bit of an interest in Telltale Games and their history, so I figured what better way to express this interest than through talking about the game that may very well have been responsible for the formation of the team and the subsequent revival of point-and-click adventure games, though very ironically given the circumstances at the time. Well, viewers and subscribers alike, we're hitting the road as we tackle the cancelled project Sam and Max Freelance Police for the PC. Back in the early 90s, during the adventure game craze driven mostly by Lucasarts and Sierra, a brand new point-and-click adventure game was released known as Sam and Max Hit the Road. Based on the 1987 comic Sam and Max Freelance Police by Lucasarts cover artist Steve Purcell, Hit the Road based itself around the exploits of the titular duo of a laid-back but enthusiastic dog and a hyperkinetic 3-foot rabbity thing as they traveled across the United States, encountering all kinds of strange occurrences in their quest to solve the mystery of a missing Bigfoot. Yes, really. Despite the comic itself being relatively obscure, Hit the Road gained massive critical acclaim from both critics and gamers alike for basically everything in it. Its humor, its music, its graphics, its gameplay, which contained ideas that would be used in future LucasArts games from that point on, and its voice acting, which was particularly a big thing at the time given that this was one of the first games to have full voice acting in it. And so Sam and Max became one of the more popular LucasArts adventure games, even getting itself an animated spin-off in 1997. Now obviously a sequel would have been in the cards, except for one problem. The ever-decreasing market for point-and-click adventure games, coupled with the increased production of Star Wars games brought about by the hype for the prequels at the time, meant the LucasArts weren't as willing to make old-school adventure games like they used to, especially after the commercial failure of Grim Fandango. For a number of years, the company was content with developing Star Wars tie-ins, or in some cases, simply publishing projects contracted out to other teams, much to the frustration of fans of their old games. However, in 2002, LucasArts suddenly announced out of the blue that they would be developing two new adventure games, Full Throttle Hell on Wheels, which I'll tackle another time, and Sam and Max Freelance Police to be developed for Windows and released in 2003/4. Like Hit the Road, Freelance Police would have been a point-and-click adventure, though this time it would be using a 3D engine different from the grimy engine used in Grim Fandango and Escape from Monkey Island that played in real time and happened to feature aspects from other LucasArts games at the time, such as Hell on Wheels and, bizarrely enough, Star Wars Obi-Wan. Very little was actually revealed about the gameplay or the plot other than a few screenshots in the trailer from E3 2003, but what we do know are as follows. Firstly, the game would contain 6 self-contained stories held together loosely by a thrilling uberplot according to lead designer Michael Stemmel? I don't know how to pronounce that. Each story covering a different case in the life of the Freelance Police that took place in all sorts of environments, from space stations to a neo-pagan bacchanal, and that minor character Flint Paper would have played a critical role in the game's plot. As well as this, the game would go back to the control methods seen in the old-school LucasArts games, as opposed to the 3D controls seen in Grim Fandango and Escape from Monkey Island, and contain a series of mini-games, some optional, others mandatory to progressing through the game. Aimed for early 2004, Freelance Police was announced back in early 2002, and over the next year or so, more and more details were revealed, much to the excitement of fans around the world. The duo's original voice actors Bill Farmer and Nick Jameson were going to reprise their roles as Sam and Max respectively. Releasing the game in episodes via digital distribution was considered by the development team, and there might have even been post-release content such as power-ups, minigames, and hell, even new cases to tackle. Now all of this was really damn exciting and fans were hyped for Freelance Police. But then things started to change for the worse. The aforementioned Hell on Wheels project was suddenly cancelled in August 2003, leading to some speculation that the same might happen to Sam and Max's latest adventure, and despite LucasArts claiming that nothing of that sort would happen, on the 3rd of March 2004, exactly that just happened. They announced the cancellation of Freelance Police, stating, and I quote, "After careful evaluation of current marketplace realities and underlying economic considerations, we've decided that this was not the appropriate time to launch a graphic adventure on the PC. The reaction from both fans and the people behind Freelance Police was extremely negative, to say the least. Fans were enraged at the sudden cancellation, considering it to have been caused by the company wanting to play it safe with Star Wars games that would sell millions of brand name alone, regardless of inherent quality, and the culmination of the adventure game genre's downfall. As well as this, Steve Purcell, who had helped with the creation of the game's plot and art style, was quite pissed himself, saying, "Lucasarts' sudden decision to stop production on Sam & Max is mystifying. Sam & Max was on schedule and coming together beautifully. I couldn't have been more pleased with the quality of the writing, gameplay, hilarious animation, and the gorgeous 3D world that Mike Stemmel's team had created. The rug has been pulled out from under this brilliant team who so expertly tooled Sam & Max for the 21st century. I'm extremely frustrated and disappointed, especially for the team who've devoted so much effort and creativity to Sam & Max. It's a shame to think that their accomplishments, as well as the goodwill that has been growing in the gaming press towards this project, will all go to waste due to this short-sighted decision. And despite the efforts of fan petitions and companies such as Bad Brain Entertainment to try and revive the project, LucasArts didn't budge in their stance, claiming that the sudden disappearance of the adventure market was what caused the cancellation, and claiming in 2006 that they wouldn't return to the genre until 2015 at least. After the game got canned, several members of the development team were dismissed, some of whom banded together to form Telltale Games to produce point-and-click adventures without any kind of executive meddling. They attempted to get Freelance Police from LucasArts, but due to them still owning the license, it didn't come to be. Eventually, Telltale were able to create new installments of Sam & Max when the license expired in 2005 and Steve Purcell brought the license to them. However, since LucasArts still owned the assets to Freelance Police, Telltale decided to simply venture on a new project, which was eventually released as Sam & Max Save the World, and from there, the rest is history. Honestly, I'm actually pretty mixed on my thoughts towards the cancellation of Freelance Police. The adventure game genre wasn't anywhere near what it used to be in terms of its sales and such, so I can understand LucasArts thinking that it wouldn't have been a viable product in terms of its sales, causing another Grim Fandango incident, and there wasn't really much gameplay to know whether or not the project would have actually been any good. All the same, it's still disappointing that it never came to be. It'd be interesting to see what could have been pulled out of the bag in terms of point-and-click innovations, and it sucks that the last 2 years of hard work had come to naught. In the end, there is still one upside from this. If Freelance Police hadn't been cancelled, we might not have gotten Telltale Games in the first place, and then all of those critically acclaimed games wouldn't exist either. No Walking Dead, no Tales from Monkey Island, no Sam & Max Trilogy, and worst of all, no Poker Night. It would have been nice to see how Freelance Police would have turned out, sure, but hey, I guess it just goes to show that sometimes the best things can be brought about by the worst mistakes or disasters. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to play Sam & Max Hit the Road to see what all the fuss is about, which means I have to use DOSBox. Oh god. This is Father Dugan 1000, and I hope you enjoyed watching Games That Time Forgot. Until we meet again, have a great day, y'all.